All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, all honor, all glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to you, Akin, who are pushing the work in truth and in sincerity. Real quick lesson. I want to name it something to the effect of everything will be a rule, everything will be a crime. All right. As you see here on the screen, YouTube strengthened enforcement against misleading clickbait and video titles, thumbnails. First rollout in India. All right. Now, of course, this has greater implications, and it's just a shadow of things to come concerning persecution. All right. Ultimately, the powers that be, all right, have to silence the avenues of truth. All right. And where do you get more truth from? Besides the prophets, the men of the Lord. All right. Okay, so, this is just the beginning. Of course, we can see this becoming more of, a thing that they could, push globally. All right. So I'm going to read a little bit into it. And like I said, it's going to be a quick lesson. India says YouTube has announced plans to intensify its crackdown on egregious, all right, clickbait aiming to curb the spread of misleading content on the platform and ensure viewers receive accurate and reliable information. All right. And of course, we know what this is leading to. All right. It's going to be a crackdown on a truth. All right. So, things are going to be a lot different going forward. And this is just, I guess you can say, the the pre-runs. All right. And so I'm sure it's going to be a wide range of videos. All right. That's not supporting talking points of the establishment. So it says egregious clickbait refers to video titles or thumbnails that make promises or claims not fulfilled within the video itself, particularly when the content pertains to breaking news or current events. See? And what do we talk about? We talk about breaking news and current events. Oh, the elder posted this, and this is breaking news for brothers. All right. This is breaking news. All right. And most of the times, all right, we are the ones that kind of, jump on these things. Of course, they're going to start with the major, the major, I guess you could say, I don't want to use the word influencers, but the major guys on, YouTube who have a large following. All right. Because, hey, 2025, I believe through the Spirit is going to be a nefarious, more evil time, and there's going to be a lot more generated crises happening within the year, hell, going into this year, something's bound to happen. I'm not sure, but I believe I heard some to the extent that Biden and Kamala had to cancel their Christmas or some shit like that. I'm not sure, but I can look it up. And we know around these times they, while people are eating and absolve with the holiday, in that holiday spirit, so to speak. We know the elite, they pass a lot of laws, they do a lot of things when people are most distracted, especially around these times. All right, because it's the strongest time of their witchcraft. Okay. So I read a little bit more. It says, particularly when the content pertains to breaking news or current events. Examples of egregious or egregious slack, if I'm not saying it right, clickbait include a video titled "The President Resigned" that doesn't mention the resignation, or a thumbnail labeled "Top Political News" with no news content. Such tactics can mislead viewers, leaving them frustrated, especially when seeing timely or important information. To tackle the issue, YouTube announced plans to ramp up enforcement. All right, and this is the main thing. Okay, that the main point that you get from this article, or this move that they're making. The ramping up of enforcement. All right, because we come into a time where they're going to regulate everything, especially on the internet. All right, and the internet platforms are going to play as authorities. Okay, and that could damn well spill over into your life. All right. And we know what we say is somewhat, I don't like using the word treasonous, because we're prisoners of war. We're captive exiles. We have been kidnapped. All right. And our oppressors, they still have us in their possession. So I don't like using the word treasonous, because although they will say they will use the term treasonous. All right, especially with our talking points being that we come from, we pull from a biblical standpoint. So, excuse me, it says YouTube announced plans to ramp up enforcement against videos with titles or thumbnails that make unfulfilled promises. This is particularly crucial for content covering breaking news or current events, ensuring viewers are not misled by what they watch on the platform. And I could tell right now that they will, if it's not the narrative that they want to spin, if it's not supporting the talking points of the propagandists, they're gonna be cutting everything. All right. And so we always know this thing works as a wave. It starts one place, which is India. But it's a wave, so eventually it'll make his way. All right? And Esau is pushing for that. Lawmakers are pushing for regulating the internet, So it says, ensuring viewers are not misled by what they watch on the platform, launching in India over the coming months. This initiative gives creators time to adapt to the updated enforcement policies. All right, and watch for that kind of language, because now YouTube is going to become an authority, right? They're a service. And that's how Esau packages all of these things, the service. But soon, these platforms are going to become authorities, meaning they can penalize you, and you may have cases where people are going to have lawsuits, litigation against certain content creators. This thing is going to get ugly. All right. So, and it's just my speculation, really, through the spirit. It says YouTube will initially remove violating content without issuing strikes, and will focus enforcement on new video uploads, as it continues to educate creators. See, So you might not even be able to upload your damn video. All right. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Let me see something. All right. So this is an article. And it says a new approach to regulating speech on social media, treating users as workers. Check this out. All right, it says social media has proven difficult to regulate for the last 20 plus years, in large part because First Amendment considerations present a significant obstacle to regulating platforms. Arguments for and against regulating speech online, on social media, tend to view platforms as offering content and connectivity, and users as consumers of a service, exacerbating, First Amendment concerns. All right, let me do this real quick. To exacerbate a problem, bad situation, or negative feeling. All right. So, all right, it says, but what if the user as consumer characterization misconstrues the business model of social media, and platform users actually behave more like workers? So they're trying to redefine users as workers, which again, this always has kind of a nefarious thing to it, because this is how Esau finds loopholes. All right, and they can penalize you, and it's kind of looking like this is like almost leaning towards potentially it's like a social credit type of ordeal, social credit system type of ordeal. Okay, I'm a kind of jump. All right, so social, and this is Vanderbilt.edu. All right, Salakia. So it says social media as a form of labor. User engagement in the form of posts, scrolls, clicks, likes, etc. generates content and data that social platforms repackage and sell to advisors or advertisers as compensation. Platforms provide social, informational, and entertainment benefits to users, while this arrangement differs from traditional workplace models. Procasini, Slacky, if I got that wrong, it says argues that the essential characteristics of work factor directly into the platform user relationship. The defining economic and power dynamics between employers and workers are analogous to those between. Let me see what that means. I just want to look it up, and it says comparable in certain respects, typically in a way which makes clearer the nature of things parallel. So they're saying the defining economic and power dynamics between employers and workers are similar or parallel to those between platforms and users. Platforms supervise user activity and enjoy informational advantage, all while operating in an otherwise socially collegial environment. Similar to most workplaces, users and workers are potentially subject to safety hazards, discrimination, harassment, and misinformation. Social media users share analogous or parallel structural conditions, risks, and harms as traditional workers, right? And this is how they can redefine you online and change the relationship between these platforms and its users. And this is all they're doing all of this as you know, they making these different laws. All right. And you can't forget we're coming into, somewhat of a different age, because it's going to be a totalitarian type of ordeal, where it's going to be tyranny. It's going to be the corporations against the people. And the people are essentially, their nature in society is going to be redefined, or their position in society. And people are going to be penalized for their thoughts, their expressions, what they post online. So this is essentially, this is the before everything. How can I say this? This is all the beginning of, the tyranny. All right. Everything being a rule, everything being a crime. All right. And as you can see, they're talking about, changing changing the basically how they deal with or see certain or see users. They don't see them as users no more. They see them as workers. Slack it. Goodness gracious. So protections for speech in the workplace. The First Amendment permits ample regulation of speech in the workplace. The same words in different contexts carry different levels of First Amendment protection, largely in accordance with the varying power and information asymmetries that define the setting. Procacini explains, in the workplace setting, speech rights of employers and workers have long been diminished. To protect the efficacy of the employment relationship and the rights and dignity of those in it. Many of the features that justify regulating speech in the workplace are present in social media as well. Both are confined settings that present considerable alternatives for speech. The inherently coercive nature of each environment creates a greater risk of harm. Importantly, speech in the workplace and social media is inextricably bound up with commercial conduct. Circumscribing constitutional protection in the private workplace to account for these dynamics is quite sound under the First Amendment. All right. Procacini writes, because doing so actually maximizes the freedom of speech by augmenting private citizens' capacity to speak and contribute to the marketplace of ideas. The paper details federal and state regulations on employer and employee speech, including bans on discriminatory, abusive, false, and coercive speech, proselytizing. All right. Here, we'll define that. Action of attempting to convert someone from one religion, belief, or opinion to another. So they're watching all of this. Oops. Okay. The paper details federal and state regulations on employer and employee speech, including bans on discriminatory, abusive, false, and coercive speech, proselytizing. All right. So you're trying to convince one person to leave their religion, right? And that's what we do. The scripture's talking about us casting down all imaginations. All right. That exalt itself above the knowledge of the Most High. Okay. So that definitely, our message is definitely going to be targeted. And essentially, as you can see, it's going to be regulated. All right. It says, and due influence on political and labor choices. Employers are, in many cases, required to disclosure factual information like legal rights and health and safety warnings. Workers are regularly protected from employer reprisal for whistleblowing and other forms of speech. These work laws address the competing interests and rights of employers, workers, and co-workers to eliminate unjust social stratification and subjugation. This is exactly the type of law social media needs. Pro Cassini writes, if I'm saying his name right. All right, so he's saying that everything must be regulated. All right, these work laws, so they're showing you the parallel between, the workplace and social media is quite the same. All right, that's their argument. So they're gonna take greater measures to ensure that they have more control on social media as if it was the workplace. All right, so as you can see, the devil redefining things, okay, so that he can consolidate control. It's all about control. All right. So let me see some. Oh, this is pretty much the end of it. And Salaki, Lord willing, you bear with me. So it says regulating speech online or social media. It says Pro Cassini uses these speech related work laws to develop a framework for social media regulation. The paper advocates for measures such as stricter prohibitions on discriminatory, harassing, false, and coercive speech between users, strong mechanisms to combat abuse on platforms, broader disclosure and disclaimer requirements. So you're gonna have to always have a disclaimer, all right, when you're posting. So things are gonna be a lot more tighter. All right, as you can see, this is nothing more than frameworks for a social. Excuse me. What's the term? A social credit system. All right. Okay, and you can find articles on that. All right, but it's just small tidbit evidence to show you the direction that they're going into, and the direction that they're going into is regulating speech. Mainly, especially if you're trying to coerce someone to leave one religion. So if we're saying your religion is false, in which it might, in most cases, the religions of the earth are false, and we're telling you that Yahweh Shemi Shai is the one true God, that falls in the lines of coercion. We're being coercive, all right? Which, when you really look at it, it's convincing. It's convincing the gainsayers, and the scriptures go into that. All right. All right. Similar or opposite, coercive, cruel, harsh, oppressive. Let's see another word. Oh yeah, another word for coerce: compel, constrain, force, oblige. While all these words mean to make someone or something yield, coerce suggests overcoming resistance or unwillingness by actual or threatened violence or pressure. Okay. And they're definitely for sure going to call this violent. All right. So, where was that? Coercive. This is in a coercive speech between users, stronger mechanisms to combat abuse on platforms. So they're going to have stronger mechanisms. All right. That could be penalizing you. That could be bringing a lawsuit against you. Who knows? That's a broad spectrum in itself. They can come at you any way they want. They can limit your access to online, and that's what it's going to be boiled down to. All right. If your talking points are against the image of the beast, all right, the ways and the structure on how society is ran, if you speak against that, they can cut you off. All right. Over the years, they've been on Facebook. If you say some things, they can ban you for weeks, a month, a year, who knows? They can completely get rid of your account. But we're coming into a time where things are going to be a lot more nefarious, or this devil is going to be working more on in a more wrathful. Is going to take a more wrathful standpoint on certain I guess you could say trespasses, for lack of better words. All right. So Lord willing, this makes sense, man. So it says broader disclosure and disclaimer requirements and prohibitions on child social networking. While work law motivates her proposal. So she's trying to apply the work law to social media platforms and the user. So the social media platforms will act as the employer, and they'll have essentially the power of an employer. That employer and what they've been putting pressure on these social media platforms to crack down on the users for the content that they post. And as of late, you have what's that lady, Kamala Harris. She was talking about that. She was pushing that, which we all know, those are just potential laws that they want to pass anyway. All right. Because in order for the NWO to work, they have to crack down. They have to, essentially bring in the draconian laws. All right. So it says social media is not work under current labor and employment law, she writes. Oh, Salaki, let me read it again. It says, while work law motivates her proposal, Procaccini notes that it should not apply in full to social media. Social media is not work under current labor and employment law, she writes, but it is enough like work and produces harms to that map onto those in the workplace so tightly that work law offers a surprisingly generative framework for regulating social media consistent with the First Amendment. All right. So that's just to show you their talking points. All right. And it's kind of giving you a clue to, where they want to take society, because social media is going to be a different, they're going to regulate it quite different in the near future. All right. So give me a second. All right. So I just typed in social credit score USA because this is the world we're coming into. All right. And it says here, while the United States does not currently have a social credit system, some analysts believe it could be implemented. All right. In the future, some state lawmakers are concerned that the U.S. could be following China's lead and imposing behavioral ratings on citizens. And if you don't see that coming, then you blind, because that's exactly what they're about to do. Okay? Because they must regulate. They must impose more laws, and they must set examples. And they're going to put the fear in these people too. Okay, they did it with Alex Jones. All right, which we know he's an insider. Okay. It says, let me see here. So lawmakers are concerned that the U.S. could be following China's lead in imposing behavioral ratings on citizens. Others believe that social credit scoring could come to the U.S. through the private sector, such as banks, insurance companies, and tech companies. All right. So that's a big highlight right there, because the tech companies, they run, essentially they run the social media platforms. All right. Or they have ties to them. The social credit system evaluates a citizen's trustworthiness based on a variety of personal data, including demographics, online and offline behaviors, and social network. If you believe, and we're coming to the point where, all of those things are going to be exposed. There's going to be, your employer is going to know, you know, um, whether or not you're on social media or not, you know, and they have those things, all right, where they can look you up. Okay. So, and again, this is speculation. I'm speculating. So, you know, it ain't too much of a shot in the dark. So, so it says in a social credit system, citizens start with an initial score, and points are added or deducted based on their actions. For example, forgetting to pay a fine, saying something unacceptable online, or leaving a bad review could negatively affect a citizen's social credit score. This could limit their access. This could limit their access to certain public resources such as travel, financial loans, housing, and education. Now, this is not happening in America as of yet. All right, as of yet. Okay, but it's happening in certain parts of the world, like China. All right, or Asia. Okay, and this is and they added regulations, and of course, those are communist societies, so they have more control over the people. But and they have more control over what people say. All right, it's somewhat of a dictatorship, but America is going to be twice as worse. Okay, it's going to be twice as worse. So let's see. That was made earlier this year. Chinese style social credit system is coming to America. Look at that. Boost your social credit score for smooth summer travel. This is definitely going to be a thing. Look at that. It says social credit scores for federal employees and contractors. Uh-oh. The Federalist Society.org. Oh, this is from 2023. This is in federal. I'll read a little bit. Social credit scores for federal employees and contractors. In a Federal Register notice dated January 31, 2023, the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, has proposed an ongoing program of suitability and fitness vetting to establish, requirements and standards for agencies to properly vet individuals to assess risk to integrity and efficiency of the service. All right. What does this mean for federal employees and federal contractors? Potentially something that looks very much like the social credit system as practiced in China. According to the Federal Register notice, suitability and fitness refer to a decision by an agency that an individual does or does not have the requirement level of character. All right, and you imagine that Esau judging, having the authority to judge your character. All right, in conduct necessary to perform work for a federal agency. These determinations are based on whether a person's character or conduct may have an adverse impact on the integrity or efficiency of the service. Unlike objective measures such as years of service or timely loan repayment, character and conduct are problematically subjective criteria. How does one judge or rate such qualities? OPM proposes to evaluate the suitability and fitness of senior executive service personnel, typically the highest ranking civil service employees in management roles at the various federal departments and agencies. It will delegate the responsibility for adjudicating their word, fitness, and suitability of employees to the various agencies. The intelligence services are expected, but these regulations would apply to federal contractors and their employees as well. So what goes in the mix in assessing suitability and fitness? The proposals circular, even maze-like language repeatedly references these terms, but hard criteria are elusive. Proposed. All right, and that's a bill. Lists minimum fitness standards. Many disqualifiers seem reasonable enough. Misconduct or negligence in employment, criminal conduct, lying, dishonesty, illegal drug use, but excessive alcohol use without evidence of rehabilitation also makes the list. Who decides what's excessive? No wonder the intelligence service exempted themselves from this rule. Winston Churchill, able statesman that he was, wouldn't survive the test, knowing engagement in an act or activity with the purpose of overthrowing federal, state, local, and tribal government is included also an act of force, violence, intimidation, or coercion. That's that word again, with the purpose of denying another individual the free exercise of rights under the U.S. Constitution or any state constitution. All right, so you get somewhat of what it's saying. All right, coming soon to America's own social credit system. This was in August 2021. All right. Could China's social credit score happen here? Utah lawmakers move to make sure it can't. ESG scores similar to China's social credit system designed to transform society. Think tank. Director says. So it's definitely in the talks. All right, and with certain give me a second. So with certain bills being passed, all right, it's definitely bound to happen. All right. So give me a second. All right. So what can we conclude from all of that? All right. Of course, persecution. This is John 15:20. It says, "Remember the word that I said unto you. The servant is not greater than his Lord. Excuse me. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my sayings or saying, they will keep yours also." All right. But all these things, so they're gonna keep our words. All right. Okay. Because we're saying some out of this world type of stuff, you know. All right, verse 21, it says, but all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake. All right, because they know not him that sent me. You know? And of course, it's dealing with, the Jews persecuting the followers of Yahweh Shai, which were other Jews, all right, or Israelites. Okay, so Israelites persecuting Israelites, but all right, they're gonna they will persecute us. All right. Here, let me see something. Psalms, scriptures talking about them marking our steps. Psalms 56:6, it says, they gather themselves together, they hide themselves, they mark my steps when they wait for my soul. All right, shall they escape by iniquity, and thine anger cast down the people, O God? And he will, because the Lord will set up a standard against Esau. Here we go. This is the part. Psalms 56:5. All right, every day they wrest my words. All right. The NLT says they are always twisting what I say. And they do, for the most part. They always twist. Okay? Because you're dealing with people that, can't gainsay or resist. So what? They can come with false accusations, to overthrow, to undermine. So it says all their thoughts are against me for evil. All right. NLT says they spend their days plotting to harm me. And there's a certain regulation, where they can probably, for the most part, come after you, arrest you. You see what happened in London. I think it was in the UK. All right. You had the authorities go to people's doors, to people's homes, because of social media posts. So we're definitely in those times. This is Romans 3. But we're going to be justified by our words, right? Because this is what the scriptures say. Romans 3:4 says, God forbid, yea, let God be true, because the Most High is true. His words are true, So what we're saying when we come, out of the scripture, when we talk about the prophecies and the breaking news, which are prophecies, all right? Because the scriptures talk about rumors, all right? The scriptures, for the most part, deals with all of that, okay? So it says, God forbid, yet let God be true, but every man a liar. As it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings and mightest overcome when thou art judged, because we are. We're justified. At the end of the day, the Most High, Yahweh Shemel Shai, is the top judge, all right? Despite what Esau is pushing, all right? It says, 2 Ezra 7:19, it says, and he said unto me, there is no judge above God, and none that hath understanding above the highest, all right? And that, that's pretty much the point. All right. For there be many that perish in this life because they despise the law of God that is set before them. And if essentially that's what the society does. It despises the law of the Most High. Okay. Because our talking points are of the law, because we want to see the Lord, the world regulated in its natural order. All right. Because currently it's being regulated by the so-called white man, which is the devil. All right. Hell, we definitely gonna get penalized for saying that. This is because they despise the law of God that is set before them. For God hath given straight commandment, meaning strict commandment to such as came, what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. And all we're doing is letting you know, especially mostly our people. Scriptures talk about cry aloud, spare not, lift up that voice like a trumpet. And they will come after us with the social media, and then of course, they'll try to get us out of them streets. But hey, what does this represent? Jacob, of course, it's part of Jacob's trouble. It's going to commence, and then of course, the famine of the word. The Lord's going to take us from off the streets eventually. Ecclesiastes 12:1. Remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, because we're seeing the evil days come to fruition. All right. It says, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. The scripture talking about us not loving our lives unto death. NLT says here, it says life is not pleasant anymore. Because it ain't, man. This place is through. All right. And we're tired of it. Exhausted from it. All right. Well, the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, those are the leaders of society. All right. And the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. And those that look out of the windows be darkened. All right. So I'm going to cut it right there. Just wanted to read those few articles, just showing you where society could potentially go, be headed, because the scriptures talk about, the devil coming down with great wrath because he knoweth that he have a short time. And that is Revelations 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. All right. And we're seeing it's coming close. It's coming down to the wire, So with that, Lord, I want to just edify until next time. I give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Shai, Bashim, Kakwadash, double honors to the apostles, elders, a great millstone, Shalom.